morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the world's most exciting classroom. My name is Joe Grabowski, and I'll be your host for today. This is one of our last sessions of our shorter 30-minute summer sessions. Starting on September 12th, we will go back to the full hour format. We'll work in experiments and Kahoot quizzes, more guest speakers, and all kinds of fun things like that. All right, well, let's get right into it. We are going to share the map first. I'm going to bring that up here. There we go. Let's make it a little bigger so we can see some of the progress here. We are making our way nicely across the Pacific. Not too long ago, last week, we were talking to Josh and Grant. There we go. In Bora Bora. And now, if we zoom in a little bit more, you can see that Oosterschelde is, Zoom's not really going so cooperative today, but there we go. Looks like it has arrived in Rarotonga. So let's get right into it. Let's get onto the deck of the ship. Let's connect with Grant and Josh, and let's see what they've been up to. Hey, Josh. Hey, Grant. How's it going?
Good morning.
All right. Great to have you guys with us. Are you there? Are you in the Cook Islands?
Yeah, we're in the Cook Islands. We got here yesterday, a little bit ahead of schedule because it's been really, really windy. So we've fired our way across from Tahiti. So we've just got a couple of days chilling out on the ship until everybody gets off. And then a couple of days before everybody else gets back on, and we head over to Tonga.
All right, Tonga. I'm so jealous. The humpback should be there right now. That would be awesome. Hopefully you guys get to get in the water with them.
Yeah, we actually had a lot of them swimming around us here as well. We didn't see any on the leg over, or we maybe saw one on the leg over. But as soon as we arrived, they've been surrounding the boat all day yesterday.
All right.
And you could hear them at night. The sound of their, the blows and them splashing just so clearly over the water when it's still. And that was the first time that we saw them. It was, pitch black out, and we could hear a group of whales moving around the ship.
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to see some of the footage that comes from that. And hopefully, you guys, we get ashore a little bit. I know we were only there for a couple of days.
Yeah, hopefully. We can't go to shore at the moment because of the weather on the north side of the island where the harbour is. We can't actually get into the harbour. So we're just anchored up on the west side at the moment where it's nice and calm, but hopefully we're going to move over to the other side today and get off the ship.
All right. Oh, there we go. Josh, when we left you last time, you were getting ready to do some diving before you guys left Tahiti, and you sent a great clip here. I'm going to play that clip, and then we can talk a little bit about the diving. So let's get this reel up. So it wasn't too long ago you were talking about like 100 eagle rays, and so now you got to hit the water with some mantas. That looks pretty awesome.
Yeah. So we went back to Bora Bora, and I knew I wanted to go diving again because the last time they asked us eagle rays or manta rays. So we got the eagle rays, so I thought I had to go back and I had to do the manta rays. And it was a similar situation. I thought we were going to see maybe one or two for a few minutes. And we saw probably 5 or 6 over the whole dive, but we had one that stuck with us for a good half an hour, and we just sat on the bottom as this thing cruised around us. It got so close, it hit my camera with its fin. It hit Dunn, one of the sailors who we were diving with, on the head. Yeah, it was really, really such an amazing experience.
That's amazing. Usually when you go diving, it's like you hope to see something. They don't usually say, they give you a menu. Eagle rays or manta rays. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, luckily there's a cleaning station on Bora Bora where the mantas go to get the parasites cleaned off them by the little cleaner fish. So it's never a guarantee, but it's almost a guarantee that there's going to be at least one there getting cleaned up.
All right, I've got one more clip from the passage across. Let's see if I can find it. There it is, rough weather. Let's take a look at this one. All right, how was that? How long did that last for?
Basically the whole time.
Yeah. From when we left Bora Bora to when we arrived in Rarotonga, it was like a washing machine.
Yeah, usually you get one or two bad days amongst a few nice days, but that was just the whole time. It was rocking and rolling.
Wow. How did the passengers hold up?
I mean, just about everybody, I think, felt a little seasick at some point. I mean, I'm a weird one even. Like I've been seasick for this 3 times in the last year, and this was another time that I was seasick for 2 days. So I think it affected all of us.
All right. Well, it looks like you've hit some nicer water at the moment, although it sounds like the other side might be a little tougher, but hopefully you get into harbor today.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, I think we're all ready to hit some solid land.
All right. Well, Grant, we got to talk birds. So let me get the pictures up here and shared. Let's see.
Cool.
All right, here they are. And we'll let you take over for a little bit, Grant.
Sure. Okay. So this first one here, this is the bird. It was like the #1 bird that I wanted to see in Bora Bora and the rest of those smaller leeward islands after we left Tahiti. This is the Rarotia fruit dove, which is an endemic bird here. It's only found on 4 of these small islands, and the populations of them is only estimated to be about around 1,000 individuals, but that actually hasn't been updated for a very long time. So for 3 days in a row, I kind of busted my butt, like climbing up the hills and trying to get into any kind of forest cover, really hoping to try to see these birds. And it wasn't until like the very last 2 hours of the last day that we had on land that I finally found a group of them in an overgrown plantation. And they were just kind of flying in to the overgrown plantation and eating fruits in the trees there. And so it was, I had already given up on getting to see any of the native birds in Bora Bora by that point. And so I was really, really proud of myself when I came back with these photos of such a beautiful bird.
Very, very cool. And I think the next ones, oops, let me just have to zoom out on this one. All right, there we go. I think these next ones are some hopefuls.
Yeah, so I pulled some slides from a presentation that I gave for the guests here on a ship about birds that kind of I'm hoping to see while we're here in the Cook Islands. So the Cook Islands, it's a little bit closer to the big biodiversity centers of like Papua New Guinea and Australia. And so because of that, there's a little bit more biodiversity that's in the Cook Islands than is in the Society Islands. And part of that also is just that some of the species here have been a little bit luckier than some of the ones in the Society Islands. I think like population densities of humans have been a little bit lower here than in some of the other places. But we've got 2 species of pigeons and doves that we could possibly see here. We have the Pacific Imperial pigeon, which is really widespread. It's found all the way across the Pacific. It's like a cousin of the one that we saw when we were working in the Tuamotus. But we have a chance of seeing those here. There's also the Cook Islands has its very own species of fruit dove, which is also endangered, unfortunately. But it's not the populations are stable; they're just very low, and so they're really vulnerable to the introduction of any kind of predators or anything. But this is a really beautiful bird. Hoping to get to see the fruit doves here too. So then the Cook Islands also has 2 species of kingfishers groups. One of them, so the one on the right here, the chattering kingfisher, these guys were also present in a few of the Society Islands, like around Tahiti and Bora Bora. I heard one of them while we were in Bora Bora around the same spot that I saw the fruit doves, but I haven't seen one yet. And then I have on the left here, this is an endemic kingfisher that's only found on one island in the Cook Islands. It's found in the island, I think it's called Nangaya. Unfortunately, though, I don't think we're going to get a chance to go over there, but I included it in the presentation to show that there's, you know, a little bit of special kingfisher biodiversity here in the Cook Islands. And then we have, so on most of these islands, there's going to be, like, if the bird community is intact, there should be a species of parrot, and like a small parrot called a lorikeet. And lorikeets are special because they have, it's almost like a paintbrush or bristles on the end of their tongues. And that is because they're specialized nectar feeders. So these birds are going to be the dominant kind of flower pollinators and nectar feeders on their home islands. On the left here, we have Kuhl's lorikeet. This is a lorikeet that is endemic to the Cook Islands, and it's only found on Rarotonga, and I think maybe one other.
All right, looks like we had the satellite freeze up on us for a moment. Let's just give another minute or so. One or two things are going to happen. Either we'll just hear them start moving and talking again, or they'll disappear from the call and they'll have to re-enter. So we've had a pretty good satellite connection so far, but every once in a while, especially in somewhere as remote as Rarotonga, in the Cook Islands, in the middle of the Pacific, we do get the satellite freezes up from time to time. So we'll just give it a moment and see if we can get Grant and Josh back with us. Grant has a few more bird species. Oh, there, they disappeared. That means they're trying to come back in. So we should see them within the next few seconds, and we'll continue checking out some of these really cool endemic bird species that with any luck, Grant will see over the couple days that they are in Rarotonga. There we go. We got you back.
Cool. Where should I pick up, Joe?
You were just saying how the Kuhl's lorikeet was endemic to Rarotonga and maybe one other spot.
Oh, sure. So that's kind of the native, like, special lorikeet that's here in the Cook Islands. On the right, this is actually a familiar bird. So the blue lorikeet, they're found in the Tuamotu Islands in French Polynesia. And it's one of the cool endemic birds that we were filming while we were there. There was a Darwin Leader project on them as well. But these birds, they're also found on Rarotonga. And it's thought that these were introduced by, it probably before Europeans arrived in the Cook Islands. But this is a species that was introduced here to the Cook Islands. On all the other Pacific islands, you know, at this part of the Pacific, you only usually see one species of lorikeet that's on an island, and that's because they would be directly competing with each other. And on these small islands, there's really not enough space for there to be for there to evolve like two different lineages of lorikeets that are doing the exact same thing. And so it's thought that these guys, even though like they are a threatened species and they're super cool and special in their own range, it's thought that these guys were introduced by people to the Cook Islands here. And then this is a new family of birds that we're going to start seeing on most of the island groups as we move closer to Australia and New Zealand. But the monarch flycatchers are a group that they've spread their way across the Pacific. The Rarotonga monarch is a monarch that's endemic to the Cook Islands. The adults are the ones on the gray birds on the left over here, and the young birds, they stay this kind of like sandy brown color for about 4 years until they get older. And these guys are going to be the aerial insect predators on the island. So they're flying out from perches, catching flies and things, and then returning to their perches to eat whatever they caught. These birds, they are threatened with extinction. I think they're currently classified as vulnerable, and they're only found on Rarotonga. And then they've also been introduced deliberately to another island, but they're super special to the Cook Islands. And then there's also the Cook Islands reed warbler. I think these are only found on 2 islands in the Cook Islands. These guys are also eating insects, and they're related to the reed warbler from the Tuamotus that we were talking about last week. But these guys are feeding in a different way. Instead of flying out to catch insects in the air, they're poking around branches, going through the leaf litter, looking for insects that are kind of in hiding, and then they're flushing out insects and sort of chasing them that way. And finally, this bird here, it's our first native starling that we have. So starlings are a group that a lot of us in the old world and in North America we're familiar with for our the European starlings, or like the common starlings. This is the same family. So these guys have also radiated across the Pacific. It's this one genus of starlings, the Apollonus. And the Cook Islands, it still has its native starling here. It's only found in the higher elevations on Rarotonga, and it's really sensitive to forest degradation. I think the population estimates for these guys it's less than a couple of hundred. So these guys are classified as endangered as well. They're only found in Rarotonga, and it'd be really cool to get to see them. And just to show you guys also, I wanted to show a little bit about the introductions for bird species that are in the Cook Islands. So right in the middle here, this is a really familiar starling that's all throughout the Pacific. It's the common myna. You see them in just about every single Pacific archipelago, other than, I think, the Galapagos. But they were really popular pet birds. Some of you maybe have even seen them in pet shops in some places, but they're super smart birds. They're able to mimic human speech. Because of that, they've been really popular and they've been introduced all over. And these guys are really aggressive breeders, so they are really good at kind of excluding other birds from areas. They'll attack chicks, drive parents out for some of the native birds, and so that's one of the reasons that some of the native birds are not doing as well in the Cook Islands, for example. On the left, we've got, this is a small sort of finch that we have here. It's called a munia, and these guys are native to Australia, but they've been introduced across the Pacific. And then weirdly, we also have on the right, there are some records of this bird, the eastern rosella, which is a parrot from eastern Australia. There have been some introductions on the Cook Islands. I was looking actually recently after I did this presentation, and I don't see any recent records for this bird on the island. So this might be a bird that, it was introduced, there was a wild population for a little while, and then it might have died out naturally. And finally, this is the Cook Islands are the first Pacific nation where we have remaining fruit bats that are still left on the islands. So we've got these guys, the Pteropus. That genus is the big flying foxes. Some of these guys, they have wingspans, more than 3 feet. These are smaller fruit bats. The insular flying fox, I think it's more about 2 feet or so, but still pretty big bats. And these guys are also they're feeding on fruits. They're traveling around the islands. They are helping to disperse seeds a lot like the fruit doves. And these guys should be a present part of intact ecological communities on most of the island groups that we're going to go to from here on out. So really excited that we're going to get to start seeing them again. I hope to get some photos and some footage of the fruit bats here.
All right, very cool. Well, Grant, good luck checking off as many of those birds as you can over the next few days. And Josh, do you think you'll get in the water?
That's the plan. Yeah, I don't really have anything else planned here, so I'm just going to try and get some diving done.
Okay, sounds good. Well, guys, enjoy your time in Rarotonga, and we look forward to seeing how it went.
Great. Thanks a lot, Joe.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good day.
Bye.
See ya.
All right, very cool. So they've made it to the Cook Islands. Sounds like there is a little bit of time to go for that weather to calm down on the other side before they can get into the harbor. And this is one of the spots where we'll only be for a few days, really just enough time to get the current passengers off and the new passengers back on board. So there will be no Darwin leaders in Rarotonga. And then they'll head to Tonga. We'll cross the international date line, and then that'll change a little bit of our plan for the world's most exciting classroom, but I will update everybody with that when we can. All right. What I want to do now is Josh also shared with me a really great video from their time in the Society Islands. So before we do our curiosity to wrap up for today, I want to share this little video of what life is like on the ship in the South Pacific in Tahiti. You'll get to see some beautiful scenery. You get to see life on the ship, the sailing. So it's about 8 minutes or so. It's a great little video, and then we'll wrap up with our curiosity. So let me get the video queued up. Here it is, and let's enjoy this together.
So there's two schooner lost. And the 3, 2, 1.
All right. Looks like they had a pretty darn good time in the Society Islands. We had our researchers there as well, Chris and Tim, and they were flying drones, mapping coral reefs, using the drones from the air in parts of the islands that had never been done before. So that's going to form a great baseline for future research. When other researchers come back and map those drones or those reefs as well, they can see how they've changed over time. So the last thing we have to do for today is look at our curiosity of the week. So let's take a look at last week's curiosity. Let's bring it open. So last week's curiosity was a photograph. And so this photograph, I took this photo in the cloud forest in Costa Rica. And the challenge was to figure out what happened to this wasp. So this wasp is no longer alive. It's got these strange growths coming out of it. So that was the task. What happened to this wasp? And we had a few good answers come in, a few good guesses. This is a wasp that was killed by a fungus called cordyceps. So these cordyceps are an amazing species of fungus. There's a whole bunch of different species, and each one specializes on a different species of ant or wasp. And so what they do is they infect the ant or the wasp, and they basically turn them into zombies. They hijack their brains. And then that ant or that wasp will climb or fly to a higher location. It'll bite down really hard on the stem or the leaf. And then these fruiting bodies of the fungus will grow out of it and release spores. Then those spores infect other ants, other wasps. So really kind of wild species. If you ever saw the TV show The Last of Us, that talks about cordyceps, and only they made the jump from these ants and these wasps to humans. Of course, that's not possible. It would take millions and millions of years of evolution for something like that to happen. These cordyceps are so specialized on one species of ant or one species of wasp. And you can see here that this wasp, it bit down on that leaf, it died, and then those fruiting bodies came out and released the spores to infect other ants, other wasps. So that was our curiosity from last week. This week's curiosity, I have to share my second camera. So let me get it over here. And so last week I was out doing some fossil hunting. Let's get the second camera view. There we go. And I came across some of these. So I'm going to get in a little bit closer here. Got to find the exact right focus with this webcam can be a little finicky. Let's see if we can find that right spot. Oh, there we go. Had it for a second. So these were very plentiful, these fossils that I found. It was in a place, I'll give a clue for this, called Arkona, Ontario, where I found these fossils. There's a few here as well that are still in the matrix. So not out from the rock. You can see the shells still in the rock here. Here's another example. There we go. And then there's a collection of them that are completely removed from the rock, completely removed from the matrix. So the curiosity for this week, the challenge is, can you tell me what phylum these fossils are from? So we know what kingdom, they're from the animal kingdom, but can you tell me what phylum these fossils are from? And another clue is they're from Arkona, Ontario. So that could be another clue to help you with your research to figure out what phylum these fossils are from. All right, let's turn off this camera. And let's go back to our main camera. So that is another World's Most Exciting Classroom finished for the week. We will connect again. We'll likely be sailing again on our way between Rarotonga and Tonga. And then while in Tonga, hopefully we'll get a chance to do something really cool with Grant and Josh on board. So the last thing we'll do before we sign off, we always like to thank our sponsors, without whom we wouldn't be sailing in the Cook Islands right now. We wouldn't be bringing young conservation leaders to train out to the ship. We wouldn't be doing the research, and we wouldn't be doing the world's most exciting classroom. So we'll end off our session today with a shout out to our sponsors, supporters, and partners.